Okay, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you are watching from. Welcome to the program. Welcome to the program. While you are joining the program, share the video, invite others to join, tap the screen wherever you are watching from, tap the screen, alert others to join. We are back again. We are back again. Of course, we talked about earlier, we talked about our dimensions, the dimensions where we are and where we have gone past. We talked about it, and this time around we are talking about the Anunnaki's journey to Earth. That's what we are talking about right now, the Anunnaki's journey to Earth, how they corrupted not just our DNA, but the code, the Earth code. They corrupted the Earth code, the code that Earth is running on. They corrupted it. That's why things are almost, everything is upside down. Nothing is working the way it should be working because of the intervention of the Anunnakis. And remember that each and every time we actually start talking about a particular, issue, it means that it is time for that problem to be solved. The Anunnakis, people hold them on higher expectation because when we read the ancient Sumerian tablet, it talks about the Anunnaki creating human beings from the Garden of Eden. But people does not ask exactly the question of, does not seek to see the backstories of these Anunnakis, but we only read those ancient Sumerian tablet, believing that it is the story of human origin. But that's not the case because, of course, and many people will believe that the stories of Anunnakis is actually the same story of the book, which these Anunnaki created religions claim to be their story. But it is a manipulation, it is a decoy. It is actually rewriting the code that is already given to the earthlings. They're rewriting the code that is already existing with the earthlings before the arrival of the Anunnaki. They decided to rewrite the code and make it look similar so that we will not know exactly what is happening to us, how we are actually working against the source. Because the primary aim of the Anunnakis was to make sure that they subjugate the earthlings, to make sure that we become their slave. They feed on our energy to offer sacrifice to whatever they are offering sacrifice to, of course the source, so that, because we know of course that the source does not work in real time. The source works with immutable laws. The laws and the source sacrifice can actually shift paradigm. So that's exactly what the Anunnakis, they are able to do. I still say that there is no devil, there is no, there is no existence of the devil. It is the things that come from the source, the manifestation of the sentient being, that actually created the devil. So these Anunnakis, their arrival on planet Earth is the first problem that planet Earth started, facing. That's why the paradise has been, taken away or hibernated from humanity. So now, if we understand the stories of this Anunnaki, it does not add up. It does not add up, even though you will understand that this story has been taken away or hidden from human, all these years. It has been hidden, but all of a sudden, the story of Anunnaki, boom, everyone start hearing about them. It doesn't mean that it is not there, but it has been hidden, not the way it is actually there available today, because they are waiting for the right time to present the story, and the right time they believe it's now, because we have ascended to the fourth dimension, the dimension of where we are going to now. Think about the introspection. People might believe that the stories of Anunnaki is correlate with the stories in the book that they created their own religion and make that book the book of religion, but it does not have anything to do with the book. The Sumerian mythology or Sumerian deities that they call Anunnaki have nothing to do with the Bible, but instead it has everything to do with rewriting the code that is embedded in the book. So they try to rewrite the code that is embedded in the book. Remember that it was not only this book that was taken away, even the book, the Bible, was taken away a long time ago, for thousands of years before it was actually brought out again. That's when they now disjointed many things within this book and made it the book of religion. So that's exactly one thing that we need to understand, that if we talk about 400,000 years ago, talking about the arrival of this Anunnaki, the extraterrestrial, we will know that even the book that they call the book of religion predates the ancient Sumerian, story or mythological story that they present in the line of Anunnaki text. But they want to make us believe that the book of Anunnaki predates the book they called religious book, because they only created religion 3,000 years ago. So that's why they want to actually make it look as if the book of Anunnaki came first, but that's not the case. The book they call the book of religion, that is known as Bible today, existed, but it might not exist in a book. It might not exist in a book. It existed in oral teaching, in oral cultural reminder. So that's how the book existed first, before it was written down. Therefore, the ancient Sumerian tablet, or the ancient Sumerian story, talking about the creation of human in the Garden of Eden, correlating it with the stories of the book. Now, the stories that the Earthlings carries within them. Remember the story of this creation, the Earthlings carries it within them before these writings and before these books were created by the Anunnakis and by their mythological stories of the Sumerian. These books, they are manipulated. Anunnaki book is one of the stories that is already or also manipulated in order for us to be confused, as we have headed to the fourth dimension. So we are going to touch on the backstories of the Anunnaki, the origin and the purpose. The Anunnaki, sometimes probably that they often described in Sumerian mythology as deities who descended from heaven, specifically from a planet known as Nibiru. Initially their purpose on earth was to extract precious resources, just like everyone knows, or whoever that have come across their story know about it. They were on earth to extract precious resources, particularly gold, which they were using, or they believe was essential for their survival. Because these were the beings that was cast down because of their rebellion. Because of their rebellion, they were placed in Nibiru, and they were exploring to see where they will take over, because it has been all about who is going to control who is going to take charge, who is going to be the god of who. That is what they are looking for. That's exactly what created that's what created this narrative of the devil, this Satan ruling over people. So these Anunnakis are the ones who introduce the code called the devil. They are the ones who introduce the code called fear. They are the ones who introduce the code called, followings and rulership. The Anunnakis were the ones who introduced the hybrids amongst the earthlings. They never created earthlings, but they introduced hybrids using the women of the earthlings and mating with the women of the earthlings in order to produce the hybrids, which they were going to use to control the earthlings, because the earthlings were in a higher dimension or higher vibration that they could not control the earthlings. That's why they have to create their own hybrids in order to use them to control the earthlings, because they knew that they had a lot of work to do. They had a lot of manipulations to do. They have a lot of indoctrination to do. So they need more boots on the ground. They had to create blood type RH. Blood type RH. So that's why we have seen people deciding to rise up from wherever their cocoon is to go out there and colonize people and continue to intimidate people, continue to extort from other people, continue to be the rulers of this earth, materialistic world. So that's exactly the reason why we've seen that those are hybrid human that was planted there in order to make sure that the earthlings, the original creation from the source, is no longer connected to the source, that they may continue to feed on your energy. Because when they interacted with early humanity, their role evolved. As they called it, they made us believe that their interaction with the early humanity or earthlings bring about the earthlings evolving. Now, the bigger question that we need to be, asking, did they come to guide humanity towards enlightenment, or did they, or did their ambition lead them to exploit the very being they claim to be, to create, Remember that the claim is that they created human being. That's why the story that you see in the book is also depicted in that book of Sumerian tablet. The story, you see that the earthlings carries, with them pre the intervention of the Anunnaki, which is the story written in the book that is called the Book of Religion today. That is the story that the story that carries the code. Many people detect that story because they don't understand how it is actually read, because it has been disjointed somehow. But the disjointment of that story talk, it's all about making it a mathematics of words that we need to connect back. So that story that humanity, the original human being, carries with them, they don't need to, it is not necessarily, they don't need to the story, they do not, it was not really told using a book. It was oral story that the earthlings, the original creation from the source, carries with them, that was documented and now made the Book of Religion. Now, the transformation from potential guidance to exploitative rulers. That's exactly because they came as the angels of light, right? First of all, they appeared to be an angel of light to guide humanity, and they claimed that they created humanity to change the original story of creation. But of course, we are better than that. We continue to ascend to the higher dimension of where we are going to continue to look for the truth and access information, and we will continue to bring out those informations. Anunnakis never created any human being. All those things are lies. They mated with the earthlings and created hybrids. They created only hybrids, people with the green and blue eyes, susceptible to the manipulations and the, control, because of course they have the same blood of those Anunnakis. That's why they have no soul. Some of them have no emotions. They have sentience, but they have no emotions, or otherwise their emotions becomes dormant, just like Atom's sentience is dormant. They have no they don't work with emotions. They do anything that they please. They don't have moral. They can unalive. They can destroy. They don't have any feelings for any human being. They only have interest of them. Only care about their interest. That's why you find the type of food you are eating today is addictive. The type of politics that you are playing today, it's evil. They call it democracy, but this politics of democracy, you think about, capitalism democracy, you think about religious democracy, you know that these are not, it doesn't add up, it doesn't make sense. Because when we want to talk about a true democracy, we talk about socialism. Because that is the true democracy, when people are going to be involved in the things that is in the day-to-day activities, or the business, or the financial or economic state of the country. People are going to take part in the decision makings. But this time of this one of the capitalism, religious democracy, it's all about empowering few individuals to rule, not to lead, to rule over millions of people while subjugating them. Now, that is exactly the code, one of the code that was rewritten by this Anunnaki. By this Anunnaki, because their exploitative, rulership is what they have given to their own hybrids. Their hybrids now imposed it on the original earthlings, and that is exactly what we're grappling with today. That's exactly what we're grappling with today. And many people believe that they were here to enlighten humanity. They did a lot. They did more damage than any good. They never did any good to any human being. The Anunnakis never did any good. They are just extraterrestrial who understand the universe, who understand the matter, who understand, who have advanced technology, and those technologies are the same reason why they were actually, chased down, because those technologies are not good for our planet. Those technologies they are teaching their hybrids are the technology that is cutting the life of the earthlings short and short and short. That's exactly why we are facing death as early as the age of 100, as early as the age of 60. Those technologies are the reason why you have different types of illnesses, different types of pandemic, different types of, like cancers, all these things. It is born of this technology. Think about what you see as, the technology that is practiced by CERN. CERN is a scientific company. Think about it. We are going to actually talk about that CERN maybe tomorrow, or maybe next week. We are going to look, dig deep into, because I've been researching to understand these people and their work, because it appears in the map that these Anunnakis are influencing the world. How it is jotted down, how they are influencing the world, it appeared on that map, CERN, SERN. So these people who bring different matters together, or different matters together, and they force it to move as fast, almost to the speed of light, and then they collide with each other. So some of these things are the reason why we have seen black holes opening, we have seen collapsing of timelines, but we are going to talk about it. Don't want to actually go deeper into it. We are going to make it a special topic for another day. So these Anunnakis, their technology that they have brought to the planet Earth is actually what destroyed our lives today. It destroyed our lives today, because when we think about the ancient texts like the Epic of Gilgamesh and various cuneiform tablets which painted pictures of the Anunnakis as powerful beings with intricate relationship with human over centuries. Now you will understand that these things you see, that they started, those paintings and all these things, creation of this narrative of God that is somewhere, that we don't need to ask questions. We need to follow him. We need to do as he's pleased. We don't need to know where he is. We don't need to know how he behaves. We don't need to know his existence. We don't need to know his behavior. We just need to follow like zombies. These are the Anunnakis who created such impression. They were the ones. And they were the ones so many of you has been praying to. You've been praying to them like you are praying to the source. Because they are gods. Just like you are supposed to be God. But because you've actually, on a low vibration, you cannot see yourself to be a God, because we all came from a source that the sentience of the source is non-active, and you possess that sentience. So you are a God. The source only works with immutable laws. It works with immutable laws, which is actually addressed to be law of nature. Law of nature, where you get equal and opposite reaction. Your action matters, your behavior matters. Your behavior is the prayer that you are actually supposed to be doing. Good behavior bring good success. Good behavior bring good energy. That's exactly how the source works. But we began to worship this extraterrestrial, believing that they are this God, omnipotent, omnipresent, omniscience, but they claim they are all these things, but they put a black night satellite orbiting the earth. A black night satellite orbiting the earth. If they are all these things, why do they need a camera or a satellite to watch over us and report to them? If they are so powerful, as we've been praying to them, we've been knowing, we've been actually following, why do they need a black night satellite orbiting the earth and giving them information about us? Why can't they just close their eyes and see everything everyone is doing? Just like the source does. When we are connected to the source, the laws of the source governs and protect us. The source knows exactly what we need at any given time, as long as our vibration is high, because the only thing that disconnects us from the source is the low vibration that the Anunnaki bring in with the instilling fears. By instilling fears in us, believing there is this God that is so boogeyman, that does not hear sorry, that does not smile at us, that we cannot ask question, that is this God. That is the same way people, created this narrative that we need to follow our leaders like a sheep. That's exactly what the impression they created. And it is the same of their hybrids who continue to promote this narrative, and that's why they have to create religion. The religion of indoctrination. That's what they created. Because the interpretation of this being have shifted dramatically in modern context, because you often view them extraterrestrial, but you are not understanding that these people are manipulators. They feed on your energy. This day we rebel against this extraterrestrial and their what do you call their hybrids. The day we actually rebel against them, the day we stop dancing to the tone, that's the day we are going to connect back to the source. We are not going to war, we're not going to fight, we're not going to do anything. We just need to change our behavior. We just need to remove fear. We just need to remove fear, because fear makes you vibrate low. Remove fear. Love those that you are suffering with. Love them. Understand the interconnectedness within all of you who are original earthlings before the intervention or before the arrival of this extraterrestrial that destroyed the code and corrupted the code, the earth code. They corrupted the earth code. That's exactly what they did. That's why you're vibrating so low, because you are living in a corrupted code. Because the universe is a program. Just like if you understand that the source encompasses sentience, but it does not make use of it. But the things that actually emanated from the source actually develop this sentience and making use of this sentience. The same way it is a program that works with laws. The same way the universe is a program that works with laws. Without these laws in place, the universe will collapse. Without these laws in place, the universe is bound to collapse. Because there has been many conspiracy theory about the influence of these people, this extraterrestrial, over human history. Which supposed to make us ask questions about how this myth can morph into perceived realities and how those realities affect us. Because if we realize or understand their origins and their purpose was all about to corrupt the code that is embedded in all of us. The code that made all of us one people, the earthlings. They corrupted, they destroyed those codes. Because when we talk about code, I know you get confused. This code can encompass the fundamental principle that governs life on earth. There is fundamental principle that governs life on earth, which is the law of nature. That is the code. When we talk about the code bends for no one. But they decided to show their hybrid how they can bend the code in order to favor them, to rule over the earthlings, to rule over the original human, and whilst they are feeding on their energy as they continue to vibrate low. The source does not know that we are still in existence because they disconnected us from the source. It is only higher vibration that will reconnect us back to the source, and the intervention of law of reciprocity will now occur against the hybrids, against those of this extraterrestrial, that's exactly the only thing that will bring us back to where we are going. It is some of us that began to vibrate high. That's why we have actually transcended the one dimension, second dimension, third dimension. We are now in the fourth dimension, which signifies the fourth generation, according to the law of Exodus 20 verse 5, that talks about the generation of those who are going to suffer these laws. Third and fourth generation. And the fourth generation are the ones who pave way to the fifth generation. That's why we are heading to the fifth generation, called the fifth dimension. Because when we talk about dimension, many people believe it's just about a time for knowing. It is a time for renewal, time for reconnecting back to the source. Because we will know what we're supposed to know, and we will have to do what we have to do. Does not mean that the fact that you are original human being, meaning that you are eventually going to connect to the source, you need to know the laws, and you need to know the truth, and the truth will be the one to set you free. If you are ignorant of the laws and ignorant of the truth, you will never get free. It doesn't matter how much you believe that you are more original than the rest of the other people, you will never get yourself to be free. Because this principle that governs life on earth is the code. And the code cannot bend for you. It cannot bend for me. Nobody. It is called also a genetic blueprint, a spiritual essence, a cosmic algorithm that ensures balance among all living beings. This code this code we are talking about symbolizes harmony. Because of course, when we look around us, there is no more harmony. There is no love, no happiness. There is nothing that actually makes this earth, interesting. That's why I call it a purgatory. A purgatory. That's where we are. But we are coming out. But your behavior will determine how fast you are going to emerge victorious, how fast you recognize the interconnectedness of all those who are in this struggle with you. That's exactly what determines how fast we are going to come out. Because this law also symbolizes the rightful place of humanity within the natural order. Now let me actually remind you of the mechanism. The reason why I have to remind you of the mechanism, because you knew before. You just must have forgotten. We knew. We must have forgotten. The mechanism which they use in corruption of Earth code. Because their advanced technology altered human genetics. Remember, their advanced technology altered human genetics. That's why we are dying faster. That's why the lifespan is cut short. That's why you are suffering cancer. That's why you are suffering brain disease, brain tumor, pandemic, all these HIV rubbish that they have implemented to keep us down. Because when you live longer, you might, know more. But when you live short life, the next people or your children will not have elderly person to tell them about their past. So they created all these things. They created also the mechanisms they use. They created rift between humanity and their original divine nature. They employed psychological manipulation. Remember, they employed psychological manipulation, making you to turn against one another, making you to think that the problem you have is the person that looks like you. That is the problem you have. That's exactly manipulation that they have created. They have instilled fear. That is one of the worst things they have done against us. They instilled fear among us. They instilled ignorance. And they make us dependent on their rule because the technology comes from them. Think about the third and the second world country, which are actually, de-industrialized. Remember that when we think about the story of continents like Africa, Africa was one of the most industrialized, continent in the world before the rise of the hybrid. They destroyed a lot of civilization to hide history from the children of the third and the second world country. They destroyed a lot of civilization to hide history. That's why they carved away with your artifacts. Those what is going to remind you of some certain histories, they made away with it so that you do not look at them and remember the code. Because our ancestors were very intelligent, they knew that something like this will come. They made artifacts. They hid all this history, mark all this history, all these important signs within those artifacts, and those artifacts was now taken away. As it was taken away, how then do you think you are going to remember? Which will now, if you don't remember, you become ignorant. If you become ignorant, you also become dependent on the hybrid rules. You become dependent on them. This corruption did not only affect us individually, it also disrupted the collective consciousness. That's one of the dangerous role of this code manipulation and code corruption. It disrupted our collective consciousness, disconnecting humanity from its spiritual roots. It disconnected us from our spiritual root. That's what it did. This, when we talk about the impact of this code corruption within our social life or social hierarchies, their corruption led to the establishment of rigid social hierarchies designed to maintain control. That's why you cannot tell your leader anything. They do what they want. Because the people who are leading them, or the people who controls your leaders, will never allow them to do the right thing. That's why it is called a rigid social hierarchies, designed to maintain control, because it is all about control. Your leaders are not in charge. Not even the leaders in the high world are in charge. They are not. But it's all about ceremonial. They are not in charge. Because those who align with the Anunnaki, or those who are the, offsprings of these Anunnakis today, whether they align with them through worship, because we are worshiping them, not me anymore. I used to, but not anymore. I have understood the principles of the source. So I have distanced myself from extraterrestrial worship, which made us so ignorant. I have distanced myself from religion, because as long as you are still affiliated to any religion whatsoever, you are still under the influence of this subjugation of Anunnakis, the extraterrestrial. They created the Council of Nicaea. They were the ones who created the religion. They unalived the consciousness. That is the code that they destroyed. They unalived the Christ consciousness that was in the earthlings pre the arrival of this extraterrestrial. The consciousness called Christ. They unalived it, but that consciousness is going to return. That is, rising from the dead and going to return. It is not going to return as to die for someone. It is going to return to take its rightful place. And that's why when you read about Christ, he is not coming to bring peace. He is coming to bring war. The consciousness is only going to bring war against the evildoers, against the hybrids who decided to subjugate human beings, because all it takes is for us to vibrate higher. Then we take over our lives back and we connect back to the source. And the law of reciprocity takes its course. The equal and opposite reaction will now be established. Because when you worship these people or these things, you are in compliance with their laws or manipulation. And the more you do that, the more they gain power. They made you believe that the technology they are building, you can never build it. But you have the knowledge hidden in you. Just like a sentience is hidden in atom. You have a knowledge that you can activate if you vibrate higher. If you vibrate higher, you can activate this knowledge that will enable you to bring technology that is good for your ecosystem, that is even better than these ones that you are seeing today. The knowledge is in you. You don't even need to go to school to obtain such knowledge, because it is in you. You came from the source who encompasses everything. So why don't you have that knowledge? You have it, but it is just dormant because the code is actually manipulated. We talk about technology, reindustrialization, we have that potential. All we need is freedom. Freedom, not just physical freedom. We need to rewrite the code that has been corrupted by the extraterrestrial and the subjugation of their hybrids with the blood type RH. And, we need to rewrite the code and we need to debug. Because when we understand the problems, we will now begin to think or rethink the dynamics of this poignant commentary on modern societal structure. Because in modern societal structure, the elite often benefit at the expense of the millions of people. That's exactly what we are going through. The elite, they are under the influence of the extraterrestrial. That's why we continue to nurture capitalism instead of embracing socialism. That's why we continue to nurture religion instead of embracing our natural norms, cultures. That's exactly what, these are the things that we are going to do away with as we continue to, assess the higher dimension. Because this religion and cultural narratives was influenced by the Anunnakis as they were, planning on reinforcing their power. Because they created a myth which they call divine favor, which distracts humanity from their own potentials, creating system of belief that prioritize obedience over empowerment. That's what these people did. And these manipulations of all this, their creation, transforms the essence of human culture, leading to a collective amnesia about humanity's rightful place in paradise, a state of interconnectedness, knowledge, and harmony with the universe. They disconnected us from the universe. They removed us from the paradise. They made us what we are today. They made us go through generational curse. They made us go through generational suffering. That's what they did. The Anunnakis, extraterrestrial. Many people worship them, believing that they mean well. They mean no good for no one. They are selfish. They are selfish. That's what they are. They are aliens. But in this day and age of human awakening, as we continue to, as we are waking up from our slumber, realizing the history and the past mistakes, our past mistake is mostly about embracing that which was not given to us by the source, embracing that which glitters. That's why we always hear the adage that suggests that all that glitters are not gold. We began to embrace things that glitters. Just like you see these stories that we always tell you that your ancestors were given a mirror. While they are looking themselves on a mirror, their resources were being confiscated. That is a kind of metaphor that analyze the that analyze the way which these colonizers, because the colonialism basically started with the extraterrestrial. They were the ones who started it. That's what depicts exactly what they did to us. We had good things, and we are looking for things that shine, just like these crazy technologies that is unaliving us, that is destroying our health, that is deteriorating our health. That is exactly what we decided to embrace. If you understand the importance of freedom from all this technology that these people are developing in our world today, if they tell you that you were like a monkey jumping from one tree to another, you will prefer to be there. If you understand exactly what's going on. If they call you a monkey jumping from one tree to another, they call you that you were not civilized, you are uncivilized, you will even embrace that, even though it's a fallacy, because there has never been a kingdom that was greater than the kingdom of Africa, kingdom where the all life, came from. The earthlings came from the motherland, the mother earth. So the civilization there was destroyed just to hide history from the new generation. That civilization was better than every civilization that existed on the planet Earth. You ask yourself, why was it that Just one moment. I'm not sure why this phone is not charging. So, I don't know if my phone is going to go off. Forgot to put it on charge, but if it goes off, we will try some other time. So, that civilization that we had in the motherland was bigger, better and bigger, and natural civilization that even helped the human consciousness to develop, because we were natural before the hybrids. So those civilizations were not people were not jumping from tree and wearing only panty and naked, that every time was a tea time, because that's what exactly where they want us to be. When we look at our past, that's where they want us to see ourselves, so that we continue to embrace their evil technologies, their evil way of giving us food. They will depend on these things to give us food to eat. That's why GMO is taking over your farming system. GMOs, genetic modified organism. That's why all these things are coming in play. Technology. They know better than you. How could they have known better than you? They know nothing. They know nothing. If you understand whom you are, you will not allow these things to bend your will. You will not allow these things to control you, because you have more vibration. You are connected straight to this from the source. You came from the source. Source does not lack anything. Source has every wisdom. You don't even need to go to indoctrinational school in order for you to learn, because these things it is in you. You just need to remember. But we are remembering as we access the higher dimension. We are going to remember soon. But not all of us. There are still people who still are so much ignorant that you cannot even advise them. Those, it doesn't mean that you are original, does not mean that you have a pass to the to the new age that is coming. Doesn't give you a pass. Your behavior will give you the access. Your behavior towards humanity will grant you the pass. That's what we otherwise you will not go there. You will be perished with the hybrids when they begin to blame themselves for letting us know what we know today, because they believe they are the reason why we know what we know today. And they will begin to blame themselves. From blaming themselves, they will bring Armageddon on themselves. That's the way it is, and it is inevitable. That's something beautiful about it. We're not even going to shoot one bullet, but they are going to destroy themselves. That's one thing about it. Because if we understand that there were a lot of signs given to us by our ancestors. Those signs given to us by our ancestors, they were written in ancient texts, cryptic symbols, or hidden knowledge that reveals the truth of the earth code and the Anunnaki's role in its corruption. This awakening is going to represent a pivotal moment of realization, sparking a quest for understanding and reclaiming our lost wisdom, knowledge, and understanding the interconnectedness. Because the reason why I always make use of the word interconnectedness is that we came from one place. What we called migration began, and the migration actually, made us, everyone focus on themselves. Everyone began to see each other as the problem, resent themselves, which enabled the enemy to come in. A slogan that we always use: the unity we stand, divided we fall. That's exactly what we always use, but we don't understand the importance of these words that we see in our day-to-day lives, that we make use of in our day-to-day lives. It talks about the interconnectedness. Remember that everything came from one source, but there are things that the source actually, made in its own image. Those things that was made in the image of the source, direct from the source, they are, of a significant value to the source. And that's why we are in a school. And as we continue to go to the end of the exams, we are about to graduate. Immediately when we graduate, assess the higher dimension, the new generation, the generation that will be free from this intervention of these hybrids, or from the manipulations of this hybrid. Rather, they are going to transcend every limitation, because they will be made whole and they will be made holy, and they will be moved into paradise where they will lack nothing, where they will become great again. Now, one of the key factors that we need is rebellion. Rebellion can come in the name of boycott and innovation. Boycott and innovation. That it can be called a diverse resistance. Because if individuals from all walks of life who begin to question the status quo, this coalition may include scholars, spiritual leaders, which those our theologians, and everyday people who have experienced the Anunnaki's oppressive rules firsthand. We all experience this oppressive rule firsthand. We begin to challenge the status quo, including those in the big world who are ruling over the smaller world. Those there, ask your leaders questions. They have a lot of explanation to do. They have a whole lot of explanation to do. Because you are not exempted from the rules of these Anunnaki and the corruption of the code. Whether you are part of the big world or you're part of the small world, one way or the other, you are feeling the heat. If not from cancer, it is from Ebola. If not from Ebola, HIV, all these pandemics, all these diseases, you are also collecting. You are not exempted. Because if we begin to call for our artifacts to be returned, because if we uncover the ancient artifacts or texts that provide insight into the true nature of the earth code and the means to restore them, it is going to be easier for us. United States went to Iraq in the search of Gilgamesh, in the search of the gate of Anunnaki, which is called the Stargate, which we know as Stargate today. They went there in the search of all this information. Think about it. But the big world like Britain, all these Europeans who went to Africa, they carved away their artifacts, all these things that will give you sense of nostalgia, that will remind you of where you must have done wrong and how you are going to remember, because the past, if you remember the past, you will learn how to shape the future. Now, they took them away for a reason, because they know the secret of our origin is actually carved in some of these artifacts that they have taken away. Because we must explore various strategy. Even if it was doing protest, we get our artifacts back. Because it will lead to many things. We need to undermine the Anunnaki's influence, and we need to wake others to their potential. We need to rebel against this, we need to rebel. We need to boycott, especially the type of food that we consume. We need to boycott if we want to be serious about life. We need to determine to claim our autonomy. First of all, we need to embrace socialism instead of embracing capitalism. Because we need to reclaim our autonomy and rightful place in the cosmic order. We need to regain free will, because we are being controlled. We must regain free will. We must regain whether we are going to take vaccine or not, because you are being forced to do many things that you are not supposed to be forced to do. That means it will beg the question, are we free, or are we something that is controlled? Because this narrative will actually delve into the complexity of free will under the Anunnaki influence. We ask this question again: are humans merely puppets in a ground cosmic play, or do they still possess the capacity to choose their path? No, we don't have that capacity to choose our path, because we must struggle for this autonomy, and the struggle will raise ethical, it will actually raise questions. Are we puppets? Are we part of this world? Are we just puppets of some certain people who call themselves elite? Because when we continue to struggle for this autonomy, remember that it will grant us, it will raise ethical dilemmas about responsibility and nature of choice. Because we are living in a manipulated reality. But the problem we are facing is that we are grappling with our own complexity in the system. We are grappling with our own complexity in the system. Because most of the time, when one rises up, we begin to question whether their actions stem from genuine desire or conceived influence. Those are one of the things we ask every day. Now, when we bring it to the nature versus nurture, because we are living in nurture, we are not living in nature anymore. Because we understand the impact of Anunnaki's corruption on human evolution, which will now invite us to explore the identity. How has this manipulation altered what it means to be human? How has it altered what it means to be human? Are we defined by our inherent nature, or have we become product of their environment? This question is what we continue to ask these people who you call your leaders. Have you become product of their environment? Are we still the individuals that are defined by our inherent nature? Nature versus nurture. Because when we continue to rebel against this phenomena, it will emphasize the potential for rebirth, transformation, suggesting that reclaiming the earth code could lead to resonance of human identity, connecting people to their original essence and spiritual heritage, connecting us back to the source. That's exactly what we are fighting to achieve, to be connected or to reconnect us back to the source, which encompasses everything in existence, where we directly came from. And we will delete the story of Anunnaki and the Garden of Eden, because we must do away with that story. The story of Anunnaki and the Garden of Eden. Because we must, everything we are doing, everything we talk about, or will I say the climax of the narrative, revolves around the restoration of the earth code, the order of the nature. Instead of us being a nurtured, a nurtured being, we will be a natural being, because the nature, the order of the nature restores the code, and we will begin to live as human and not the product of this Anunnakis, because we are seen as their product. We are seen as we are no longer what we're supposed to be. We are not where we're supposed to be. We are not vibrating the frequency that we're supposed to vibrate, because we have become the product that they make use of, instead of being the natural creation from the source that's supposed to be called God. The time for introspection is now. Because we are waking up from the slumber, as we are waking up, showing each other the way. Even though many people will not like the message, many people might not pay attention to the message, because most our problem mostly is all about going out there. Where is gossiping? Where is saga? That's exactly what we give our attention to. Where is saga? Where is gossiping? We give our attention to that without realizing that there is a bigger picture. We need to wake up. We need to challenge the status quo. And we must do it collectively. And if we do it collectively, it brings about unification of the lost knowledge and the emergence of new spiritual practices. And this process will require a lot of sacrifice, such as confronting deep-seated fears, relinquishing material attachment, uniting desperate factions against a common foe. Which will symbolize a return to a state of paradise, where humanity recognizes its interconnectedness and inherent power. Because we need to reclaim our paradise. And for us to reclaim this paradise, we must create it ourselves. We must create this paradise ourselves. Because we are not only fighting, or we are not only in a journey to overcome only the Anunnaki, but also to redefine what it means to be, what it means to live in harmony with the earth. Because we human, we must restore balance. The hybrids are not going to restore balance for us. Whether they tell you there is asteroids coming to Earth, there is this coming to that, there is that coming here, they're not going to restore balance. Whether they tell you we need to spray sulfur to the atmosphere to reduce global warming, which is caused by them, they will never restore balance, because they, on their quest for power, fame, and control, they will continue to create things that destroy the order of the nature. Therefore, we must, restore the harmonious nature of this, our universe, by restoring the code, the earth code. And it can only be done by humanity, not by hybrids. Because we need to discover new ways of living that honor both individuals' identity and collective essence. It will lead us to a society that values wisdom, compassion, and cooperation, allowing us to reclaim its place, to reclaim our place in a harmonious existence, akin to the paradise that we have lost. If you are still here, tap the screen. If you are here, tap the screen. We are bringing it to, we are about to conclude. We are about to conclude. So, if you are here, tap the screen. And we're going to come back here. We're going to come back tomorrow. That will be in the evening, not at night, African time. It will be in the evening, not at night, African time. We will return as we continue to embark on this journey, the journey for freedom. Now, let me put up the computer. I want to show you something. I want to show you the next thing we're going to talk about and the importance of that which we are going to talk about. Because this is very important. Let's see here. I want us to see what we have here, and because most of the things that we talk about, it is what is shown here. Most of the things that we talk about here, we get it from here. So we have talked about the depopulation and Agenda 21, the big pharma, and we are coming back. Where we are going next is here. We are going here because that's where we are. Awakening, the great awakening. We're going to talk about LHC. We're going to talk about LHC, CERN, LHC. It is a machine they use looks like TikTok algorithm is no longer showing us the people, but we're going to come back. We're going to talk about CERN. For those watching on the periphery, from the periphery, we're going to talk about CERN, LHC machine, which they use to create portals, to create black holes, and then understanding Foxtail, because we know, we're going to talk about everything here. Collapsing of timeline, because CERN might bring about collapsing of timeline. And there is something called Samson option, which talks about Israel army and their warring, what they are doing, Foxtail to hell. So, but we're going to concentrate or focus on CERN. We're going to focus on CERN. If there is a topic I am working on, I'm doing research on, if that topic, if I don't conclude it by tomorrow, maybe I will talk about CERN, S-E-R-N. We're going to talk about it. So those are the things that are very important things that we need to, because we need to talk about everything that is here. We need to talk about everything that is here. Of course, today we talked about the Anunnaki. We've talked about the Draco reptilian race. which make use of the blood type RH. So we're talking about sun. We've talked about techno-Luciferianism. We are, and all this, we're going to take them one at a time. We've talked about the Illuminati card game, which is here. We've talked about it. I made a video about it separately, and all the world leaders of big nations are actually part of those who are playing the games. Most of them are grandmasters. The grandmasters, and the game of chess is very important to them because they are grandmasters of the game of chess. And this game of chess, if you understand it and become a master in chess, you will know how to play Illuminati card game. So that's exactly what's going on within this reality. So of course there are many things that we have here. By the time we will be done with all this topic, because most time people might think, where do I get all these things that I talk about? I get them from here. When I get them from here, I make in-depth research about them before presenting it to you. That's where I get all these things that I talk about. You see, today we talked about the Anunnaki. They are here. And we've talked about the Ebola, the HIV, how they came around. They are here. That's where I get all of them to tell you about them, because this map consists of all the things that we are looking for, the problems that we are facing on our planet Earth today. This map has it all. It's just for you to decipher whatever it is written, because some of them are codes that need to be cracked. You just need to do the in-depth. You see, NASA is always also here. NASA and the allies is also here. So we just need to understand all of them. You see the statue of Shiva. I'm trying to understand why the statue of Shiva is here, but maybe by the time I conclude the collapsing of timeline, but I believe that collapsing of timeline is coming from CERN, because this particle, moving of particles and then letting them hit each other and blowing up and creating some things that they are actually trying to understand dark matter, or trying to this or supersymmetric system, so they are trying to understand these things, but it has a lot of consequences. So these things, this company, this scientific company is doing a lot of harm, but people will not understand. But we are going to talk about it, because we are going to talk about basically everything here. We're going to talk about them. They are doing a lot of harm, but they will tell you they are managing anything that may come up from there. But that's not true. They're not managing nothing. Humanity is being subjected to a thing, like a property owned by the elite. Not anymore. If you wake up, you cannot just say not anymore without you waking up to make sure it does not happen anymore. But for now, thank you for joining us. Even those in the periphery, thank you for joining us. Until we meet again tomorrow, bye for now.